Peter Basham would say, rock you like a hurricane. No one knows who that is. It's really, whatever. But hey, how are you? Hello, everybody's here. Come on, everybody. Chris Carr, Don McManus, Chris Carr, Bill Smitrovich, Anthony Paglia, and Louis Lombardi, and Mr. Mike Wadden.
And back to the podcast.
Anthony's right there. So everyone, this is the True Noir panel. If you thought it was something else, it is not. Thank you all for coming. You're all great imagination connoisseurs. So I wanted to start out by telling you guys what this is. So if you watch my YouTube channel, you watch Chris Carr on the John Campea Show, we are producing what we're calling a cinematic, fully immersive audio experience. We're approaching it like it's a movie that you just can't see. The script is movie quality, the actors, as you can see here, are movie quality, the director is a movie quality director. So what we're providing to you is, if you went into an IMAX theater and listened to this at full volume, it would be indistinguishable if you closed your eyes from, say, Deadpool and Wolverine. Maybe. So you laugh. But so for you imagination connoisseurs, let me introduce this esteemed panel of legends. First of all, my business partner, Mike Wadden, and he's executive producer and co-creator of this. The lovely and effervescent Chris Carr, who you know from the internet, and of course her voice acting. And Anthony Paglia here. Anthony, the first person cast in this because he's playing Al Capone, and he was in Road to Perdition that also Max Allan Collins wrote, but they cut him out. So he was the first person we wanted to come back and play Al Capone to vindicate himself, because I've watched his performance on the internet 1,000 times. Don McManus, who was in Shawshank Redemption, and my friend, he made a movie called Lucky Bastard, Lucas Kendall. If you haven't seen that, it's a new cult film. He's in it, he's the star, and he's amazing. And then, of course, we have Bill Smitrovich, who is in everything. Bill told Will Smith and Harry Connick Jr. what to do in Independence Day. He was in Star of Crime Story. He was in a 2-part Deep Space Nine episode that's amazing called Past Tense, Part 1 and 2. So it's great to have him. Manhunter, and Louis Lombardi from 24, from The Sopranos. He played a cop in The Sopranos. And he has a company with his daughter, a pizza company. What is the name of that company?
It's called Avalou's. Avalou's Italian Pizza Company. All New York pizzas brought to you from all over the country.
I'm a new partner, get it?
So it's incredible. So I want to start, first of all, Chris.
Wait. To begin with, there's one other person we've almost forgot.
Oh, and there is one other person we almost forgot. A staple at Comic-Con, a man who is in the band Seduction of the Innocent, a man who wrote Batman comics for DC, the creator of True Noir and the book it's based on, True Detective, the man who created Nathan Heller. Mr. Max Allan Collins has something to say to you.
That's right.
So hit it. Play Max.
Mile?
No?
Joining us by...
Here we go.
Welcome to the True Noir panel. True Noir, the Assassination of Anton Cermak, is the first fully immersive audio drama featuring my private eye, Nathan Heller. It's based on my 1983 novel, True Detective, the first of 19 in the series. The concept behind Heller is to combine the private eye mystery with a real unsolved case of the 20th century. From the Lindbergh kidnapping to the murder of Marilyn Monroe, from the Roswell incident to the disappearance of Amelia Earhart, Nate Heller was in the middle of all of those cases and solved them. We have a phenomenal cast and a truly gifted director in Robert Meyer Burnett. And I've written a 10-part adaptation myself. I've been to Comic-Con many times, and I love to go, and I wish I could be with you today for the panel. But Rob Burnett is a real taskmaster. See what I mean?
So thank you to Max for doing that, and thank you all for coming. And I think that one of the great things about Comic-Con over the years, I've been coming here, this is my 36th Comic-Con in a row, and since 1988, is meeting people that I've loved and admired. I've met many actors, and to be having a panel like this and to bring some of the actors that I've been watching for years and to be on this panel is a huge treat. But I do want to start with Chris Carr, who obviously we're on the internet together, and I was always amazed by her voice stylings and talent. She teaches, she has her own voiceover classes she teaches, and I dragged her into this with all these legendary actors.
Yeah.
And she plays a huge part in this. She plays the love interest and the second person to hire Nathan Heller in the story. So I ask you, Chris, what is it like? What was it like for you to do this part? You prepared for it for a long time. I was even worried. I'm like, can you do this? And not only that, you knocked it. You made everybody. You blew everybody away. And by the end, we were like sobbing. So what was it like for you to? I mean, you're listening to me talk shit about movies on the internet, and you're like, are you really gonna ever make something? And then I dragged you into this. What was that like?
Oh man, it was the best, right? Because we did the proof of concept together.
We did the proof of concept.
We've done this for ages. It was us, it was David, it was my husband Logan, which was super fun to do. And so then Saperstein. And so getting to actually do the real project was so amazing, especially with all these guys, because I'm a girl who tells fart jokes on the internet. So it was pretty cool to be among you all. Being directed by you was super, super fun too. And it was great to go from doing squirrel voices for you on the internet to being a fully fledged, fully realized person who has so much agency.
Well, you brought a character and I think what you want any actor to do is take what was on the page and make it better, plus the words. And Anthony was somebody who, obviously the first person we wanted to go to play Capone. And Anthony's Australian, which most people don't know that, because everyone thinks you're like a hood from New York.
Oh, yeah, that's not true. The Australian thing is just a myth.
Just pretentious.
Just for publicity.
But you were doing, Anthony was
You know,
doing,
the Aussies are doing so well right now. I thought I'd just jump in there.
right. Anthony was doing Death of a Salesman on stage in Sydney, and we thought we couldn't get you. And we got you on your dark day.
Yeah.
And you come in and you crushed Capone. You crushed it.
Thank you.
Now, for you as an actor, let me ask you this: is any role? Do you like bigger roles, smaller roles, or do you approach every role the same, no matter what it is?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm sure everybody's heard it before. There's no small roles, just small actors. But that's not true. But that's not true. I think if you're going to commit to doing something, you should commit to it 100%. Otherwise, don't do it. And I'm at that point in my life now, which is old. And I don't really have to work if I don't want to work. So if I like it, I'll do it. If I don't like it, I don't do it.
Well, you're so good with American dialects and accents. Is that something that you developed over the years? Were you practicing these as a kid?
When you grow up I grew up in 60s Australia, and most television was American television. They didn't have much Australian content. And so I grew up watching all American movies. And so it was easy for me to pick it up. I've been listening to it my whole life. And so, you have everything from, New York, Southern, whatever. But yeah, it was never a stretch to have to do it. And I learned to do it. I remember going out for an early audition, and I went in with my Australian accent. I was in New York, and chatted with the producers, and they're like, "I'm from Australia." This is at the time Paul Hogan had put another shrimp on the Barbie. It was like the bane of my existence. And so every time I went in, put another shrimp on the Barbie. And and then we get to the part where you have to read. So I do it, and I read, and they go, "Yeah, it was good, but I can still hear Australian accent." And I knew they couldn't. It's because I'd yapped off to them in Australia. So then, after about 3 of those auditions, I walked in one day and they said, "Where are you from?" I went, "Brooklyn." They went, "Great, let's read." And that was it.
Wow.
And that's, from that point on, I was from Brooklyn.
Well, the voices in this show are key, and Don McManus, I told you earlier, I love your voice. I love the quality of your voice. And for people that might not recognize him now, What's that?
A lot of cigarettes and with vodka made that good. Cigarettes are gone.
But so Don, you were in Shawshank Redemption, and you were the good screw who walked the halls of Shawshank Prison.
The only nice guard in Shawshank Redemption.
And you know, you're also a very versatile actor. You've played many roles, many different kinds of roles. You played bad people.
I play a lot of bad people. I call what I do the first act head fake, which is I'm a good guy in the first, really a decent man in the first act, and something a little hinky in the second act, and I'm really bad in the third act. I'm killing people. And it's fun. I think it's because people actually don't know where to put me in their head, so I kind of get to play both sides.
Yeah.
Well, like Anthony, you're playing a real person in this. You're playing actor George Raft, who started out as kind of a criminal, had a lot of criminal. He was, you know, and then became a song and dance man.
Yeah, he was a song and dance man. That's such a weird journey. He was like a bag man and a driver for the mob, and then he got into dancing.
Yeah.
And he was what they called a taxi dancer, which I thought only women did. But like, you go and buy a roll of tickets for $10 a ticket, and then walk up to the dancer you want, give them the ticket, and they dance with you for a song. And then he became like a full-on dancer, like the Charleston King. And he said that they hired him because of how erotic he was in like, oh, this is not who I expect to be seeing like playing bad guy roles in noir films, you know? But yeah, he was a strange guy. Good-looking man, which doesn't help me in a radio drama, and a sort of monotone actor.
Very short.
Yeah, none of that helps me.
Very short.
None of that helps me. So we worked together and tried to honor the fact that he had this sort of flat delivery, but then put something sort of menacing behind it. And we tried a couple of ways, and I think we came up with something.
No, it's great. Al Brown.
Al Brown.
It's so good. And then, of course, Mr. Bill Smitrovich, who I've been watching. I mean, working with people like Michael Mann, working on Independence Day, working on Star Trek.
Thank you very much.
I mean, you've done so much stuff throughout your life. And again, you have a tendency to play good people. I mean, you've played...
No other people.
Which is ironic.
I mean, but it's... Yeah, right.
It all starts out real good, but...
Now, you know, I'm curious. You've been so...
Did you see November Man?
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
that was really good. Anyway, yeah, I've been really, as like Don said, you know, I've been really fortunate to do a really eclectic blend of roles in my life, from bad guys to good guys to confused guys to bad fathers, good fathers.
Just like your wife.
You know, yeah. My wife taught me everything. But no, I just, I was lucky. I was real lucky to start my career with Arthur Miller, my first equity credit. And now here is Anthony, lucky enough to be doing his greatest play, in my opinion.
It is.
One of the greatest plays in American literature. And, you know, it was a baptism of fire, being an understudy for 9 actors who played 16 different roles in a new Arthur Miller movie, play that the lead, Peter Evans, God rest his soul, came down with AIDS in 1980, probably one of the first actors to contract it, and died a year later. But he went on opening night with 103 temperature, and he was brilliant, but he couldn't go on for the next night show or the matinee and the evening. So I went on for those 3 shows, and thank God it was a great success. And I was able to do it because, as I told this interviewer today, he said, what's my greatest lesson that I learned was to be prepared. And that taught me everything I knew about being prepared, because I had to understudy every one of those actors and every one of those roles, and the next week another actor got sick. and he played three roles in the play, and I was blessed to be working with actors who supported a rookie like me.
Well, and you've been great ever since. So.
Well, thank you.
And we're honored to have you in this one.
Thank you.
And one of my new favorite people in the world is Mr. Louis Lombardi, who, you know, one of the fun times on this was we had Vincent Pastore, who played Big Pussy Bumpancero in The Sopranos. We had you and Savario Guerrera in the studio at the same time. You were here in LA and they were both in New York. And man, did you guys bust each other's balls.
Yeah, well,
I didn't realize you'd all known each other for 30 years, and you guys were just, I was like, we don't really have to record, I just want to listen to you three talk to each other across the, it was amazing. And you know, you are talking about you starring in a new horror movie series, Director's Cut, that's coming out. And you have your own pizza company with your daughter, which is awesome.
Right,
But I have to, you have a really interesting story about, you were telling it today, how you became an actor.
yeah.
You know, you didn't really go to school much. You were going to the movies by yourself.
No, and it's actually funny. I'm going to show you a video later about how I know Vinny Pastore since I'm 13. Like, as a kid, growing up in the Bronx, you know, no one went to school. You know, and I always wanted to be an actor. I have headshots from when I was 12. So I didn't have money to go to school. I didn't have any education. So what I did was I would audition for NYU films. And I would learn how to act for free and learn how to make movies for free from the top place in the country of making films. So people go, I got no money. I go, neither did I. But I still found a way. And then when I got to Hollywood, all that lessons I learned prepared me for the real world because I was on real sets with real directors and writers, even though they were NYU films. When I got to Hollywood, my idol, who I wanted to be like, was Oliver Stone. My first week in Hollywood, I met him. I had no union card. And he goes, I love your look, I'm gonna put you in my next movie. And he put me in Natural Born Killers, and that started my entire career of learning from Ivan Reitman, John Landis, Tim Burton as a director. So I was learning from NYU kids. And my first week in Hollywood, I got hired by Oliver, and I started learning by the biggest directors in Hollywood and the biggest cinematographers, Bob Bridgerton, Hector Alexander. And I would watch, and I would learn, and I would learn, and I ended up getting the best education on the real sets than most of my friends who spent 20 years in acting school. You know, and when people go, I don't have money, I go, there's ways to do it, figure it out. You know, and I'm that guy who figures it out. You know, I'm so fortunate that with no education, you know, I've done 100 films, I've done some of the best series in TV, Sopranos, 24, Entourage. You know, I've been very lucky. And again, I show up 100 miles an hour. You hire me for one line or a whole series, I'm the same energy. You're not getting a discount because I'm only doing one scene. I'm always 100, and I want to win every play, not every game. So if we play in sports, I want to beat you every single play. Competitive, and that's what I did with actors, and I kind of would get on sets, and I'd be like, that's a challenge, like I played sports, and it worked out, thank goodness. You know, most of my friends, sad to say, did 20 years in prison. Most of my family, 25 years in prison. And I found an outlet as a kid, and I would watch the misery of going, wow, I don't want to be like these people in prison. And I found a direction, and thank goodness the direction worked. And 30-something, 40 years later, I'm here talking to everybody on a panel with all these great guys who I've watched growing up, you know? So it's actually an honor, and if you don't believe you can do it, you're only lying to yourself. Do what you can.
Well, now that's fantastic. Now, Mike Bodden, my dear partner and friend for almost a decade, I dragged you into doing this. You know, you have an extensive marketing background. You're an ad man, Madison Avenue. You know, you were like in Mad Men, but you weren't like John Hamm.
That was my goal. It was weird. I was in third grade. They said, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, every kid gets asked that, and you've got kids who want to be astronauts or doctors. And I said, I want to be a creative director in an ad agency. And they're like,
that was either a good thing or a bad thing.
yeah, what is that? I was like 8. You know, it's like all my friends that get like models to build, and I got pads of paper and drew logos. It's weird. It's just a weird thing.
So for dragging you into this and all that, making this project, you and I are the principals behind it. What has been fun or not so fun for you making this project?
So our company, Imagination Connoisseurs Unlimited, is focusing on creating new IP specifically targeting genre interests. So as opposed to kind of mainstream entertainment, we're really looking at developing things that focus in and will engage fans of science fiction or horror or mystery or suspense or crime and detective stories like this. My favorite genre interest is history. So, yeah, I am a huge history buff. I graduated from SMU with a degree in television, radio, film production, but I had more than enough hours to also get a history degree, but I only liked medieval European history, so that was my focus, you know. So my interest in history, when this opportunity came up to tell stories that are historically accurate in terms of the historical events that occurred and the people involved in these mysteries, and then have a guy like Max Collins take all of that work and wrap a mystery around it, it's an incredible opportunity. And because this particular drama takes place in the 1930s, and as a fan of media, there's no better medium to do this story in than as an audio drama. But the great thing is, we're not just making a radio play. This is at a whole nother level. When you have a great story like we do from Max, an amazing cast like we do as far as the talent that's involved, we have original music, we have high tech in terms of how we're recording all this and giving people opportunities to act against each other. We're recording entire scenes at a time, not just single lines. It's a whole new approach. It's all getting mixed in 5.1 surround. This is gonna blow your ears off. I mean, it's absolutely gonna be phenomenal, and we're all about kind of redefining things. And we're trying to redefine the audio drama with this project.
You know, we really are. And you know, Anthony, you have such an extensive background. You were on stage just recently. You were in network shows like Without a Trace. You've done films. What do you think the state of acting in 2024 is with streaming services? SAG was on strike. How do you feel about the profession of acting in the modern day? Is it the same as it's always been? Are you still having fun at work?
Well, we started in radio back in the old days. Then they developed movies, and now we're doing radio again. So you make that of what you will. I just think there seems to be like unlimited outlets. There's all these different places now that you can release your material. If you're creative, and even if you're not. YouTube. I love YouTube for the good stuff and the absolutely horrendous stuff that's on there, because I find a lot of it funny. People would not. I've been watching podcasts where people are talking about things that, I mean, they're probably 19, and they're talking about stuff that happened. They think Breakfast Club is the vintage movie. Yeah. You really know how old you're getting. And I used to say to a friend of mine, when I was growing up, it was, Marlon Brando and James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, all actors of that caliber. And I remember saying to a friend of mine who drove past some wall painted with Jimmy Dean, I said, there's going to come a day in my lifetime where kids under the age of 15 will have no idea who that is. And it's true.
Yeah.
Because my daughter, who's now 21, she'd bring all her friends to my house, and I'd say something about some actor like Marilyn Monroe, and they'd go, who? And I just went, oh shit, we're doomed. This is it. It's really turned. But I think, me personally, I like all the mediums. I've never done radio before. I really enjoyed it. I said mainly because I could show up there in my sweaty old track pants and my hair not combed, whatever, just like today. And I just think there's so much. I don't know if there's a need for content, but there's a lot of places to place content. Mm-hmm. And I found this challenging in a way. I like working with other actors and looking in their eyes and responding off of that. And this sometimes you might get. I don't know if I had the chance to do that on this one, but sitting in a dark little booth with a cup of coffee is kind of my favorite thing to do without the voiceover. But I really enjoyed getting to learn. It was a new skill set. It was different than anything I'd done before. So I'm not your traditional customer. I'm not trying to downsell it. I wouldn't actually think of listening to something, but then I think there's a lot of people that like have to drive to work. I mean, I got like a 40-minute trip in LA, probably 2 hours. I don't leave the driveway. So, what are you going to do with that time in the car? You can't really be on the phone because, you know, it's not safe. But you could stick on a great story and listen to that. And instead of, you know, cursing the traffic and screaming obscenities at people, it's kind of the way I drive, you could just chill out listening to something interesting or educational. So I think there's a real market for it. I mean, I know they have radio, like, you know, shock jocks and stuff like that. But this is much better for your head.
Yeah. Well, one of the ways that we recorded this that's different than, say, a movie or animation, Chris, is we ran full scenes. Like Anthony's scene, it's a 13-page scene in episode 4, 2 new clients. And we read the whole thing from top to bottom. And so the actors, you were reading with somebody, but you had an opportunity to play the scene.
Yeah.
Chris, for you, you've been doing voiceover, but in this time, you had to take a character over multiple pages. I would imagine it's something you hadn't done before. What was it like for you to work not line by line, but you had to not only bring a character, but you had to, and I know you can read, you don't have to memorize it, but it's still a different experience when you're reading for 20 minutes, doing the whole scene. What was that like for you as an actress, because you'd never done it before?
Oh, it's great, because I mean, usually, right, when I'm doing video games, it's you'll do a line and you'll maybe give them 2 takes, or they'll ask you for a 3 wild or a 1, 2, 3 or an ABC, right? And you fire that off different ways, and each time with a different intention. And usually you don't have a scene partner, so you're hoping that this is the intention that you want the scene to have and everything. The closest I've been to this before is if anyone's played the Marvel Move game, I'm in that, and we at least got to record together, but it was over Riverside. All the other actors were in the UK, and we had our cameras off, so you still didn't see anyone. What was so great about this is, even though it's not memorized, you still have to be in the moment, right? You have to feel like everything is spontaneously being said. You're not memorizing this, you're not reading it. It's voice acting, it's not voice reading, right? So having somebody else, because I had Corey with me.
Right, Corey Landis was somebody who, he plays Walter Winchell in the series, but he also is, he read with all the actors for the most part that we could. Not with Anthony, because he hadn't been hired, Corey hadn't been hired. David Starzyk read with you, who was you've seen him in everything from Veronica Mars to Lost, every TV show ever.
He's in every single thing.
Yeah.
But it's so nice having an actual scene partner, because to Anthony's point, right, looking in somebody's eyes, being able to react with them, and my stuff in particular, you know, we're creating this romance, we're creating this bond.
You had a love scene.
I had a love scene, which I come from anime, and you know, sometimes those things come up, and sometimes a fight scene is a very fine line between, does this sound like a fight, or does this sound like mom and dad wrestling? And we gotta be clear. This one was, oh, we're actually doing that. My parents are so proud, they're so excited.
They'll love it.
But you have to create this sense of intimacy, and how do you do that over a microphone? This is your scene partner, this is your scene partner's ear, and you have to really connect with that. And having another person in the room to give you different reads and try different things and create that intimacy is so helpful, and so unlike anything I've ever done in any of my animation or video games.
Yeah. Don, you know, you're like you, like me, we're readers, and I think we're lovers of the written word. And you know, Christine and I, our fellow producer, and talks about how erudite of a person you are in general.
I'm being oversold. This is terrible.
But one of the things that attracted me to this property was Max's, not only his book, but his script.
Yeah.
And I thought that the words, I mean, I know you don't have the biggest part, but I think as your part is, I think, is great. Now, when you read this material, as somebody who's very familiar, as you pointed out, you had read History of Violence, the graphic novel, you had read Road to Perdition as a graphic novel.
Yep.
What was it like for you to encounter the script, and how did you feel about how your part was written?
Well, I felt very much at home immediately, because I had read Road to Perdition and loved it. And got it like as soon as it came out. So I was familiar with the world that he lived in, and I love noir stuff in general. The stuff that I like best about noir material is that it's chock full of people with hidden agendas. The people who are lying, they're misleading each other, and you have to kind of guess who's telling the truth, what do they really want, where is this really going to go? And the more you layer that, the more atmospheric it gets, and I think the more exciting it gets.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And again, it was the script that really attracted a lot of you actors. We had people calling us up and asking to be in it. As a matter of fact, Christine got a call from Martin Sheen's people.
Really?
And I love Martin Sheen, and his narration in Apocalypse Now is how I see the narration in this show. And we didn't have a part for him. It'd been cast. Like I can't believe I didn't have to say it. I'm like, we couldn't make one up. I said to Max, I'm like, can't you make something up and shove it in the script? Unfortunately, we couldn't.
Do you want the president to be Miss Beam? I'll take it.
No,
He wants to be the lover.
no.
That's fine.
But you know, I go to you, Bill. I mean, you
Turned down Martin Sheen? You kidding?
But
Have you seen any of this man's work?
he's one of my favorite actors of all time. Badlands?
Oh, great.
Oh, dear
Oh
God.
my God! I mean, that's why I'll write him something to be in. But so Bill, I would ask the same thing. You have worked with so many great directors and had such great material. Even your Star Trek two-parter is one of the great two-part Star Trek episodes of all time. When you're reading a script, can you tell that it's great right away? Do you know?
Yeah, I do. And it's not all the time, but man, when you read something and it touches your heart, or it makes you think, you know that the words are meaningful and they're doing something to me physically and intellectually. But there's a lot of things that there are plays that I've read that I thought, oh, this would be a wonderful play, but you just can't put it on the stage. There's nobody, they couldn't find a way to dramatize it. And it just laid there. So there are times when you get words that are good words, but you don't have the right people. Those words just lay there.
And to be,
You're not giving.
to be perfectly honest, there's not a lot of great stuff.
No, but tell us one where you got wrong, where you like read it, thought it was either great and it wasn't, or it wasn't great and it turned out.
Well,
Don't tell them.
no, you always approach a project going, we're gonna make this thing good.
Yeah.
And one that really surprised me was Silver Bullet. I thought I was making a real stinker.
Yeah.
And I said, fuck it, I'm going for this
Look it up.
character, right?
That's the Stephen King adaptation.
What's that?
The Stephen King adaptation.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I grew a beard. I was a younger actor, and I grew a beard. Now I'm thinking about how I'm gonna look, and how I'm gonna play this cracker who's out there trying to kill a werewolf, and he owns the gun store, and he's telling the sheriff, "You couldn't catch a cold." And I love that line. I thought that was the best line in the movie.
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, right. So, I go up to Dan Attias was directing it. He was Steven Spielberg's assistant director, and this was his first film. So I said, that's when I said, well, gee, maybe it will be good, But as the actors came in, especially Megan from Canada, who played the young girl, her and Corey Haim had come up with a real relationship, and it was really good. But the best part is I grew this beard, and I'm going now I'm in front of the mirror, and I'm going, all right, okay. So maybe just have the mutton chops. So I took the mutton chops, and then I cut this off, and then I said, well, maybe I just go like this. And I take the razor and I go like, and I'm left with hair right here. And I looked in the mirror and went, that's Andy. That's the guy, And I went for it. And it was a whole lot of fun. And it turned out to be a lot better than I ever thought it would be, because I never thought horror was that much fun. Or
How dare you, sir?
It was a lot of fun. Wow. Sorry, everybody. I really like horror now. But
Especially since Lou's got a horror movie coming out.
that's fabulous. No, I didn't like musicals for a long time either, and I still don't.
Well, Louis, I would ask you, one of the things that what we had in mind, like, again, you were an actor that we wanted to have you and Severio playing the two Harrys, as they're called. There's Harry Lang, who's not you, and Harry Miller, who's you. You're both sergeants. You both are part of Mayor Cermak's goon squad. But one of the things that I like about you is you bring a lot of who you are in real life to your parts. And that's what we wanted. And to hear you do it, you can see, if you look on my Instagram feed, you can see both Bill and Louis behind the scenes doing their parts. But I would say to you, when you're acting, how much of Louis Lombardi is there and how much is the character? What percentage?
I would say it's 100% Louis Lombardi being that character. Always be true, be you. And once you're you, then you could be someone else. You know, I'm very fortunate, and my biggest flex as an actor, as an Italian-American actor, I don't play gangsters. Look at my roles. I play very few. You know, my biggest famous roles are Sopranos, I play an FBI agent. 24, I play an opposite FBI agent who's absolutely as opposite as the Sopranos. And then on Entourage, I just played a neighborhood guy. But I still bring Louis Lombardi as the focus of every role, and I take that character and I make him what I see it. So I would say most of the roles are 100% Louis Lombardi, energy, focus, you know. And I look at acting as sports. I played football for 10 years, and my thing is just get out there and win. Be great at everything you do or don't do it. And when I get to some of these roles, even though I'm not a gangster in all these movies, and again, that's my biggest flex as an Italian-American, and it's worked. For 30 years, I've played great roles. Like I did The Animal. I played a funny cop with Rob Schneider. You know, and it's funny because I had met Adam Sandler, and he was like, hey, I saw you on Sopranos. I want to put you in this movie. And I was like, sure. I was going to be a hardcore cop. No, I'm the goofy, stupid cop playing Rob Schneider's best friend, even though I was a cop again. You know, and again, as an Italian-American being from New York, most of my friends play a lot of gangsters, and I'm so happy and proud of my 30-year career as not playing a gangster and everything and still being massively successful in a hard business, you know, and not being stereotyped.
Yeah.
Right, and you play a cop in this. I mean, you're a bed cop working with the goon squad for Mayor Cermak. You're not a nice guy.
Right.
But you're great.
Thank you. But just always believe in yourself before you believe in anything else, and it'll work out. I don't care what, if you're selling pizzas or if you're making movies. Always believe in what you're doing or don't do it, because it will come true. You know, the truth always prevails, you know? And like I said, me and my daughter started this pizza business. I'm brought up by all women. I've been cooking since I'm 5. I always wanted to be a cook. I became an actor and it worked out, thank goodness. Now, 40 years later, I started a food business with my daughter, Ava Lou's Italian Pizza Company, and now together we're making pizzas and the business is starting to boom because we love it.
He's plugging that pizza like crazy. I just bought shares in it. So
We'll be right back after this commercial break.
But anyway, it's just the passion of cooking never left me by being brought up by 3 women. Now, all these years later, I found something that I love just as much as acting, and we're killing the pizza game, you know?
And what is the name of that pizza?
That's a Louisville Pizza Company.
It's Ava Lou's Italian Pizza Company, and my daughter's name is Ava, and I'm Lou.
And what's the name of this show?
The name of the show. It's the Ava Lou's Pizza Show, coming soon. So we have a truck and we go around doing big events and we have a blast.
The commercial breaks will be for Louis Pizza.
That's right. This panel is brought to you by.
Brought to you by.
He's buying advertising time.
By the way, you can follow Ava Lou's Pizza on Instagram if you choose to. And so is Louis. Now, Mike, I would ask you, you know, obviously when we decided not to just make this asking our friends and inviting them, hey, you want to come do this thing? We went after a great cast, a cast of veteran actors that bring something to the role. How important was that to this project, having these guys and girls? 2 girls. Katie Sackhoff is in it too, but
It's 2 girls and a pizza place.
and Renee Taylor and Ava Lou's Pizza.
Yeah, just don't forget.
Free pizza for everyone.
Everyone. You buy one, get 3 free.
Maybe we can work out a BOGO system. You download the podcast and you get a free pizza.
Yeah, I guess this is a good time as any to say I'm starting my pierogi company.
Bill, don't play. If you sell
Specializing in
pierogi,
the sauerkraut onion pierogi.
you guys.
Oh, listen.
So Mike, these
Our,
actors, isn't it
our
important?
very famous pierogi is the empty pierogi.
What's really important is to have high quality professional people to work with. As you can see here.
Oh, well, this is a shining example of that.
That's right.
Yeah, I got a deal for you. It's not pizza. We're gonna kill him.
That's awesome. When Al Capone says
In
he's
fact, we have a pierogi pizza.
That's right. Well, you bring up an interesting point, Robin. One of the things that we wanted to do with Imagination Connoisseurs Unlimited from the get-go is make sure that whatever original genre IP we developed, that we developed it at a very high standard from a production value standpoint. Now, my background is not in making movies and television shows, but in producing advertising campaigns, which, by the way, I've handled pizza companies before. So if you're looking for a pizza brand.
He just got a job.
I'm editing this deal. I'm gonna take 10% from you.
That's right. But that being said, I think that you can see, just even with the introduction that Max did for our panel,
Very slick.
the animations that we're creating, the quality of the original music that's being written, it's all at a very high production value. But there's one thing that will affect people the most, and that is the quality of the talent delivering the performance and bringing those words to life. So it's got to be a great script, and we got that. We had a really good story, interesting characters, a wonderful adaptation by the guy who wrote it. We work primarily with creators.
That's what we want to do, is work with the actual
You know,
creators.
Honestly, I think from that point of view, I see how, like my daughter, who's now 21, and her friends are so attached to Instagram. Like everything's got to have a visual image. And now I think about it, where were you guys 15 years ago when I needed you to keep her off the iPhone? Because when you think about it, it's just so, we're just bombarded by stuff every day.
Every day.
And you don't get to picture it in your head. It's being shoved in your head.
Right.
And I'm just having this like.
Yeah, the one thing.
I'm having this moment now.
And Anthony, you bring up a really important point. The reason we describe the audio quality as cinematic is that we're acknowledging the fact that as human beings, we take in the vast majority of information that goes into our brain through our eyes. But by producing a cinematic quality audio drama, we're really engaging people on a whole different level to create the pictures in your head and to live within that world at a very high level. And we think that when you combine that with all of the other cross-media applications that we're presenting, the other audience engagement opportunities and things like that, this is redefining what the audio drama is supposed to be. We're not just like forcing a story in one ear and hope it stays long enough it doesn't come out the other. We're really requiring the audience to pay attention and engage on a whole different level. You'll be able to listen to this thing over and over and over and keep picking up things happening in the background, the quality of the music, the use of leitmotifs in terms of how the soundtrack works and everything. It's just so.
You know, you're absolutely right. I was, when we were asked about, this project, this is a collaborative project.
Yeah.
And it's collaborative with the audience because they have to be emotionally, image-wise, audibly, they have to be involved. And their imagination is working just as much as our imagination is by presenting these words. They're imagining the words and the images. And can you imagine how different each of the audience's participation would be? They're not being told what to think. They're not being shown what to see.
It's the visual.
They are involved, and they'll walk out and they'll all have their own interpretation of what it is they heard.
But even in like film and TV, I'll ask this: what would you rather have? A little bit of soft focus, or lose bits of the audio?
That's a great question.
If you can afford a little soft focus. You can afford camera moves that aren't perfect. But if you don't have audio, you're gonna walk away. It's not gonna happen. I'm sure that you guys can do that at home. We're like, you got to put the subtitles on because you can't hear it. But you have to be able to hear what the actors are saying in order to understand what they're thinking.
That's
My wife and I, we put on subtitles on
That's it.
some movies that are in English because we can't understand what the fuck they're saying. You know, and it's amazing to me that you have actors that this is their job.
Right.
Their voice is their job, and yet they can.
You
know, you keep it us. You keep it in there. You told me. No. Yeah, but I didn't do it.
Those are the ones that I'm sleeping through. They're good. That's where I get my best sleep.
Hey, this panel's gone by so quickly. Does anybody from the audience, there's a microphone up here. If anyone has any questions for this esteemed panel, please come on up. Step right up to the mic. There you go.
In that awesome midnight shirt, hell yeah.
Ask our esteemed panel anything you want within reason.
You bet. Hello, guys. I'm a big fan of Rob, Chris.
Thank you.
Obviously,
I'm a big fan of Moon Knight.
Oh, yeah.
As you know.
I met you last year. And anyway, is there a narrator? And is it you, Rob?
There is an announcer. That Richard Portnow is our announcer. He is not recorded yet, but he's a great actor. But the narration is more from our main character, who has yet to be cast, actually. And he has a narration like Martin Sheen in Apocalypse Now. That's how I envision it. So, but he's telling the story from the perspective of history. This story actually already happened in his life. That's why it's the Nathan Heller case books.
Oh, yeah.
And he's kind of recounting it, but we hear it in real time, but we also hear it from his narrative perspective from history.
And the other thing that's kind of interesting about that is that the scenes, this isn't like a traditional radio drama where maybe you have a narrator come in every 4 or 5 lines and kind of keep the story moving along.
Yeah.
What we've got here is we have actual entire scenes of dialogue that are interesting and move the story forward by using characters and they're telling the story. So it's a different sort of, again, it's just a different kind of audio drama. It's not like what you'd normally expect.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. The reason I was asking is I also think Rob's voice is great for voice acting.
Well,
It's the best.
in a world. Thank you. One man is out of his depth.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Sebastian Robledo.
Hi, Sebastian.
I'm a movie guy. I'm a fan obsessed about movies. And I have my own podcast channel. It's called Sebastian's Movie and Game Time. You can find it on YouTube. And I have a question for you, Robert and Chris. I've been watching you two guys appear on a Jump Campus show, and I thought it's cool to finally get to see you in person. So, I also have a sticker for you, Robert Mark Burnett, of my channel on it.
I'll take it, and I'll show it to everybody at the bar as
Thank
we're drinking.
you. Oh, and
one
also
more.
too, like you, Rob, you collect physical media?
Yes, I do.
Well, guess what, Robert? I collect a lot of VHS tapes.
You're kidding.
I do.
What-
I have a VCR machine, it still works. From time to time, I'll put on a VHS tape and I'll watch a movie in my VCR machine. Because when I was a teenager, we had Hollywood Video, Blockbuster Video, the Mom and Pop's video store. So like you, Robert, you're a physical media guy. I'm a VHS videotape collector.
Nice.
And I have DVDs and Blu-rays as well too.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks for coming to the panel, and thanks for the support.
Also, if you love physical media, go on our Kickstarter. You can get physical media of this project.
Yes.
Really? And I have a sticker with my channel on it, Robert.
Thank you, man.
When it's over,
I'll take it.
and can I get a picture with you and Chris?
Yes, you can.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Step right up and ask a question.
I do have a quick question. First of all, I want to say thank you. Our kids grew up with reading disabilities, and doing audio tapes is how they learn to read. In particular, Jim Dale doing Harry Potter, what got them to read. So thank you for doing that. My question is actually, do you feel that this media is a little bit harder to break into to get our attention, right? We still have our commuters, but we have so many people working remotely, right? And is there a way you can sort of show us or give us a little clip or some sound bites?
Well, there is a proof of concept online. So you can go to the True Noir YouTube page and you can hear, the thing about the proof of concept though, even though I did it, I don't like how we did the narration because I was learning. And also there aren't scenes. There's no, we've got these great dialogue scenes. What I really love about this is all of these actors are doing, like you get to listen to them. There's 10-page scenes where people are talking to each other. Like you can see on a clip of Bill Smitrovich, he gets really angry at his nephew, at Nathan Heller, and there's a bit of him performing, and his performance, I showed it to my girlfriend, I go, look at this clip, and she's like, oh my God, he's so good. And it was just this little clip, but you see it, you can see how,
We were all shocked.
I'm just saying, not to go slow about their ass.
Rumor has it.
And Louis too. And Anthony, we didn't shoot him because he was in Sydney, Australia, so we didn't, and you can see Louis, you can see Jeffrey Combs, Dr. Herbert West from Reanimator, and of course, he plays Mayor Cermak, and he's very theatrical. Again, an actor we wanted to go for, so, and there's also 19 books you can read of the character moving forward.
Thank you.
So, absolutely, thanks for coming to the panel, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So how close are you to finding a Nate Heller?
Oh, very close. It's more of a scheduling issue than anything else because we need the Nate Heller for about 2 weeks, and everybody's working. So that's been very, very hard. But it's very exciting.
Because I love the books and I love that character. So.
Oh, you know them?
Oh yeah, I'm a big Max fan. Read his thing every Tuesday.
Awesome. Oh, it's
seen
wait.
him here 5-6 times. Sat with his wife. Met Mickey Spillane through. That's how I first found Max. Best experience I ever had at Comic-Con. Just walked. Max was doing a thing, and it was Mickey Spillane, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Well, the great thing about this is Max is this famous writer. He loves all these cast members, and one of my favorite things is I go, you're never gonna guess who's gonna play like George Raft, or you're never gonna guess who's gonna play Uncle Louie. And he was like, it was funny because he was trying to process like, how did you get these actors? Like he couldn't, because he directs movies himself.
Right.
And he was like, and he can't, I put him on the phone with Smitrovich and Don McManus today. And, well, you talked to him. What was it like to talk to Max?
Well, he's such a sweet man.
Yeah.
And he really wanted to be here, and you know, he's in my age group, and his wife refused to let him travel in this COVID society that we're in, and I don't blame him, because there are people that are coming down with it. But he reminded me that I did a movie with Tom Sizemore called Last Lullaby, and he wrote that.
Yep. It's a Corey. It's based on his character Corey, which is another series of novels. Right. They did a Corey series for Cinemax.
Right. Yeah, and you know, we had a nice talk about Tom, and you know, that was after he got sober, and we had a great time on that movie, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe that those crossroads had crossed at that time when I was in there, and he started talking about Crime Story and Nero Wolfe and all kinds of things, you know, and I was delighted that somebody actually saw all these things and liked them and was a fan. So I'm a big fan of his. I think he writes great American dialogue, comes from
Really does.
the I don't know, the kind of heart and soul of America, middle America, those old radio dramas, because everybody listened to those. I mean, it wasn't like you didn't have to afford it. All you had to do was have a radio, you know, and it was universal. And, you know, it wasn't like you had to pay, you know, extra money to go see a good movie. It was everything that was on the radio.
They were collecting your data back then.
Hi there. My name is Talon, and big fan of audio dramas overall, and so I'm curious to hear what your plan is for distribution. I've heard podcast, I've heard Kickstarter, and with these kind of really ambitious technical sides, you know, your listeners ideally want to have the speakers and stuff to listen to it in the 5.1 and everything. So
Yeah.
what is the plan to kind of get this out to audiences?
Mike?
Well, there you go. What a great question. So
when this drops the end of September, it will be available as a two-channel stereo mix on every podcasting platform that's out there. It'll be a premium product. It's $3 an episode or $30 for the entire series. And you will also be able to buy it off of the True Noir website and download either the two-channel mix or a 5.1 surround sound mix.
Or there is a free disc that comes with every Lou Val pizza. It'll be under the pizza box, so look for it.
Yeah, the crowdfunding campaign that we have is really, we already have the money in place to produce it, so we're going ahead with production. The idea in the crowdfunding campaign is it gives people an opportunity to buy the downloaded version at a discount, but it also gives fans an opportunity to pick up other things related to True Noir or actually engage in part of the production. So one of the things that we have is a perk level where fans will be able to go ahead and pay and have their name used as a landmark in the city of Chicago. They'll be written in the narration, or they'll be referred to as a case file among Nathan Heller's various case files. Or at a certain level, we have 74 background parts that need to be read. So there's an opportunity to have, wild lines contributed by fans, and we'll share those audio files as well. So there's an opportunity to really be involved in the production and engaged in the production that way. And it's just a chance for us to have some fun. Our motto for ICU is we make it fun to be a fan again. And that's really what we want to be able to do. After we drop the podcast on the TrueNoir.co website,
the fully immersive audio drama.
Yeah, I'm sorry. After we drop the fully immersive audio drama, we'll also start producing a weekly podcast with Max Collins and Rob Burnett talking about the genre and talking about the Nathan Heller series, but also then expanding into other mystery and crime things. And that'll be a free podcast, so people will be able to go ahead and access. We've got a lot of plans for distribution. I think the important thing to understand is that we've also built this project to be cost effective and basically self-fund within about an 18-month period after it's released. So we're not overshooting so much and just kind of blowing it and hoping that we can, praying that a crowdfunding campaign is going to save our bacon and make it work. We feel pretty confident that we're going to be successful that way. And that's how you do more, because we want to do more. But this has been so much fun.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Hello?
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. I just want to say first that Robert Meyer Burnett, you rule. And
these guys will go. I have to explain to them why that is.
Your coupon for a free pizza.
My question is to the actors. What do you enjoy more, voice acting or on-camera acting?
Paid acting.
Paid acting. I was just thinking about residuals from this right when he said that.
We pay pizza.
It hadn't occurred to me before. I actually like every single medium as long as the material's good. I don't care what it is. If it's good material, that's what attracts me the most. And I've done enough bad material to know what good material is.
I mean, it's a totally different experience for us to be in the same room with you guys doing theater. I mean, that's a very connected thing. This is just my experience. In film, you get to really dig in deep and take your time and explore and find things out with the director and the cinematographer. I love television though, because you develop a rhythm. You develop a pace, back to one, you work again, and you're working with this whole crew of people, and you start to breathe together. And that feels like family to me. So I like that part.
I'm voice acting all day, every day. I love this so much. The way that you look doesn't matter. Your meat suit doesn't matter. And as somebody who has eyes the size of a planet, I get cast as a lot of quirky best friends, and I don't know how many times I've had to say, I just don't think he's good for you on camera. So I love this. In real life, I don't play a lot of badasses. When I get to do a video game, I can be a mercenary, I can be an alien, I can be all those things. And in video games, I always get to interact with you guys so much more because your choices in a game affect what I do as a character. We have this really great sense of agency with one another. It's a lot like immersive theater.
That was a great question.
That is.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, this is the end of our panel. I want to thank our esteemed panelists, Chris, Mike, Anthony, Don, Bill, and Louis Lombardi. Remember, his pizza company is what?
Ava Lou's Italian Pizza Company.
Father and Daughter Pizza Company. Support it, follow it on Instagram. And also go to the True Noir Kickstarter.
If you don't buy it, he's gonna hunt you down.
And also, check out, we did a movie called Mr. Director. It's coming out, a horror franchise. It'll be in theaters in November on Halloween. I star in this thing. I play a killer. I kill about 1,000 people, and I loved it.
And Denny makes a pizza at the end.
And we'd love to get your support for True Noir. It's on Kickstarter now, under True Noir. Support if you want to. You should, because it's awesome. Thank you all for coming, everybody.
And don't forget to see A Folie à Deux